The winter of 2024 cloaked our apartment in a gray shroud on January 15th. The wind rattling the windows, carrying the damp scent of concrete that still clung to me after 3 months at home. Sergei, had fallen from the scaffolding at the construction site in October, the crash shattering both my legs, leaving me confined to a wheelchair, dependent on painkillers and the quiet hum of our small flat on the city's edge. Natalia, my wife of 5 years, had been my rock, or so I thought, her dark hair often brushing my cheek as she helped me with meals, her soft voice promising recovery. Victor, my younger brother, visited often, his easy grin and offers to fix things around a house of comfort, or so it seemed. But lately, something shifted, a tension in her glances, his lingering stays, and I couldn't shake the unease gnawing at me. The days blurred into a routine of physiotherapy exercises on the living room floor, the carpet rough under my palms, the radiator's heat a faint solace against the cold. Natalia worked late, her excuses vague, meetings at the office, and Victor's visits grew more frequent, his laughter echoing with hers in the kitchen while I struggled with crutches. I tried to ignore it, chalking up to my own paranoia, the injury clouding my mind. The apartment, once a haven of shared dreams, now felt like a cage, the walls closing in with every creak of the floorboards. On January 15th, as I wheeled myself to the bedroom for a nap, I knocked over a bag, its contents spilling, a wallet, a lipstick, and a folded letter, its edge peeking out, addressed to her in Victor's handwriting. My heart thudded as I unfolded it, the paper crinkling in my trembling hands, the ink smudged but legible. My love, it began, last night was everything. We must be careful. Sergei suspects nothing, but his recovery drags on. Meet me tomorrow. The words hit like a sledgehammer, the room spinning, the radiator's hum fading into a distant roar. 5 years of trust, her gentle care, his brotherly support, all a lie, a secret woven behind my back while I lay broken. I read it again, the details searing into me, dates, promises, a motel on the outskirts, and felt a surge of nausea, the letter shaking in my grip. I heard her key in the lock, and panic set in. I shoved it back, my hands clumsy, the bag hastily rearranged as she entered. She smiled, her voice bright. "How's my hero today?" But her eyes darted, a flicker of guilt I now recognized. I forced a nod, my throat tight, and watched her move to the kitchen, her steps lighter than they should be. The letter burned in my mind, a betrayal deep in the fall that broke my legs. Victor's grin, her late nights. It all fit, a puzzle I'd been too hurt to see. I wheeled to the window, the city's lights blurring through my tears, the cold glass against my fingers a stark contrast to the heat of my anger. I wouldn't scream, wouldn't give them the satisfaction of my pain. Not yet. A plan began to form, quiet and cold, a way to punish them without breaking myself further, to reclaim what they'd stolen. The wind howled outside, and I sat there, plotting the silence, the letters echo of fuel for my resolve. The days after finding that letter on January 15th, 2024, dragged on like a slow bleed, the winter wind rattling our apartment windows, its icy breath seeping through the cracks, mingling with the faint scent of antiseptic from my healing legs. Sergei, sat in my wheelchair, the metal frame cold against my hands, the living room a prison of muted colors, the gray carpet, the faded couch, the radiator's faint hum a constant reminder of my immobility. Natalia's smile, once a beacon, now felt like a mask, her dark hair swaying as she moved through the kitchen, her voice too cheerful as she asked about my day. Victor's visits, once a brotherly lifeline, now carried a weight, his easy grin, the way he lingered near her, the late-night excuses they shared. The letter, "My love, last night was everything," burned in my mind, a wound I couldn't stop probing, fueling a quiet rage I had behind a stoic face. That night, as Natalia slept beside me, her breathing soft but restless, I lay awake, the bed creaking under my shifting weight, the darkness pressing in. The letter, tucked under my pillow, whispers betrayal. Dates, a motel, their careful lies while I recovered. 5 years with her, 5 years trusting her care, and Victor, my blood, had stolen it. The pain was a physical ache, sharper than my broken bones. But I swallowed it, my mind turning to action. I wouldn't confront them. Not yet. Screaming would give them power. Tears would show weakness. Instead, I needed a plan, a way to punish them that would strip away their comfort, their secrecy, and leave me whole. The radiator clicked, a rhythmic pulse, and I began to think. Evidence, leverage, a trap to spring when the time was right. The next morning, January 16th, I started small, the apartment silence my ally as Natalia left for work. Her goodbye kiss a lie I endured. I wheeled to her desk, though it scarred from years of use, and searched. Old receipts, a notebook, nothing incriminating yet. But in a drawer, I found a matchbook from the motel mentioned in the letter. Its logo faded but clear, a tangible link. My hands trembled as I pocketed it. The paper rough against my fingers, the scent of stale smoke, a bitter taste. I spent the day observing. Her calls when she thought I was napping, Victor's texts lighting up her phone, the way she hushed her voice. Each clue built my resolve, a puzzle I was piecing together. The apartment's creaks a soundtrack to my plotting. By Wednesday, January 21st, the cold deepened, the windows frosting over, the air thick with the smell of snow drifting in. I enlisted help. My neighbor, Olga, a quiet woman who owed me a favor from before the accident. I asked her to watch the building, note Victor's car, his timings, her eyes widening but nodding. She reported back that evening, her voice low. He's here most nights, leaves after midnight. The confirmation stung, but it was gold, patterns I could use. I dug deeper, accessing my old work laptop, its screen glowing the dim room, and hacked into our shared cloud account, finding deleted messages between them. Plans, apologies, promises. The words seared me, but I saved them. A digital arsenal, the hum of the machine a steady beat to my growing plan. Thursday, January 22nd, I tested my mobility, crutches clacking against the floor, the pain a sharp reminder of my limits as I reached the balcony. I watched the street, the snow begin to fall, the white blanket softening the city's edges, and saw Victor's car, black, sleek, parked too long. I took photos. The cameras click a quiet victory, the cold biting my hands. That night, as they laughed in the kitchen, I sat silent, my mind racing. Expose them to our family, leak the evidence of her workplace, or something more personal. The radiator's heat couldn't warm the ice in my chest, but it fueled my determination. I decided on a multi-pronged attack. Shame them publicly, cut their financial ties, and reclaim my peace. Friday, January 23rd. I woke early, the snow blanketing the world outside, the flat's warmth a contrast to the chill within. I drafted emails, anonymous, sent from a new account, to our parents, her boss, detailing the affair with proof, scheduling them for next week. I planned to transfer our joint savings to a new account, leaving her with nothing, a symbolic stripping of their comfort. The crutches leaned against the wall, a testament to my fight, and I sat by the window, the city's lights blurring through my tears. The betrayal, Natalia's lies, Victor's treachery had broken me, but this plan was my redemption. I wouldn't break down. I'd break them, step by step, the silence my weapon, the snow outside a witness to my resolve. The week following my resolve on January 23rd, 2024, unfolded in a tense hush. The winter snow piling outside our apartment windows, its pristine white a mocking contrast to the storm brewing within me. I, Sergei, sat in my wheelchair, the metal cold against my palms, the living room bathed in the soft glow of the heater, its hum a steady companion to my plotting. The letter from Victor, the matchbook from the motel, the photos of his car, evidence stacked like bricks in my mind, each piece fueling the plan I crafted in the silence. Natalia's smiles grew strained, her dark hair often hiding her eyes, and Victor's visits carried an edge, his laughter with her a knife I endured. The betrayal, her care facade, his brotherhood a lie, gnawed at me, but I channeled it into action, ready to strike. Monday, January 26th, I began with the finances, the apartment's quiet broken only by the click of my laptop keys, the screen's light casting shadows on the walls. I logged into our joint account, the balance of shared history I now saw as tainted, and initiated a transfer to a new account I'd opened under my name alone. The process was slow, my hand shaky on the mouse, the hum of the heater a backdrop to my racing pulse. I left her a small sum, enough to survive, not enough to ease her guilt. My fingers hovering over the confirm button before I pressed it, the action a quiet severing. The confirmation email pinged, a digital guillotine, and I felt a mix of triumph and dread, the snow outside muffling the world as I sat back, the weight of it settling. Tuesday, January 27th. I moved to the exposure, the flat's warmth a contrast to the icy resolve in my chest. I finalized the anonymous emails, crafted with care from a burner account, attaching the motel matchbook photo, Victor's letter snippet, and a timeline of their meetings gleaned from Olga's notes. I addressed them to our parents, Natalia's boss at the accounting firm, and a few mutual friends, scheduling to send for Friday, giving me time to brace. The process was meticulous, each word a blade, the scent of old paper from the matchbook lingering as I worked. I tested the draft on a spare device, the text stark on the screen, and felt a surge of power. They'd face shame, not me. The radiator clicked, a rhythm to my plotting, and I wheeled to the window, the snow silent a witness to my first strike. Wednesday, January 28th. Victor visited, his grin too wide, his excuses about a quick fix transparent. I watched him from the couch, the carpet rough under my good hand. There were whispers in the kitchen of betrayal I now heard clearly. I played along, my voice steady. Good to see you, brother. While inside, I cataloged his every move, the photos on my phone a silent threat. That night, as Natalia slept, I reviewed Olga's latest report. Victor's car parked late again, and added it to my file, the paper rustling in the dark. The pain of their deceit clashed with my plan's progress, a bitter taste in my mouth. But I held firm. The heaters warmed a shield against my trembling resolve. Thursday, January 29th. I woke to a clearer sky, the snow glistening outside, the flat silence a relief. I checked the email schedule, the send looming, and felt a pang. 5 years with her, the trust I'd given, now ashes. I thought of our early days, her laughter, our plans, overlaid with the motel's shadow, Victor's betrayal. The crutches leaned against the wall, a symbol of my fight, and I gripped them, tested my strength, the pain a reminder of what I'd endured. I decided to leave the apartment after the emails, move to a rented room, cutting all ties. The plan was working. Financially, socially, but the emotional toll weighed heavy, my reflection in the window, a stranger with determined eyes. The snow fell softly, and I knew the next step would seal their punishment, my redemption inching closer. The days after setting my plan in motion on January 29th, 2024, thickened with a heavy silence, the winter frost etching patterns on our apartment windows, the air inside carrying the stale scent of old wood and the faint hum of the heater. Sergei, sat in my wheelchair, the metal frame a cold anchor, the living room a battlefield of my own making after transferring the funds and scheduling those damning emails. The snow outside piled higher, its whiteness a stark contrast to the darkness coiling in my chest, the letter from Victor and the motel matchbook still hidden in my drawer, a constant reminder of their betrayal. Natalia's demeanor shifted, her smiles rarer, her calls more guarded, and Victor's visits dwindled, his excuses thinner. The first strike had landed, and the wait for the fallout gnawed at me, a mix of anticipation and dread. Friday, January 30th. The emails went live at dawn, the ping of my burner account a quiet signal in the flat stillness, the radiators hum a backdrop to my racing thoughts. By mid-morning, the phone buzzed, my mother's number, her voice trembling with shock. Sergei, what is this about Natalia and Victor? I feigned ignorance, my voice steady. I don't know, Mama. Maybe a misunderstanding. While inside, I savored the chaos I'd unleashed. Natalia returned home early, her face pale, her dark hair disheveled, and confronted me. What did you do? Her eyes darting with panic. I met her gaze, calm but cold. I did nothing, but the truth has a way of surfacing. She stormed off, slamming the bedroom door, and I wheeled to the window, the frost blurring the world, feeling a grim satisfaction tempered by a hollow ache. Saturday, January 31st. The fallout intensified, the apartment's quiet shattered by her hushed calls, the scent of her perfume mingling with my tension. A message from her boss arrived, forwarded to my spare email. Natalia suspended pending investigation, followed by a call from Victor, his voice tight. "What the hell, Sergey?" I hung up, the phone clattering against the table, my hands shaking with a mix of rage and relief. I spent the day reviewing my plan, the crutches leaning nearby a symbol of my struggle, the photos of his car's silent threat, the betrayal, her lies, his treachery had fueled this, and the shame they now faced was my first victory. Yet, the cost weighed on me. 5 years with her, the trust I'd lost, reflected in the frost-patterned glass, a stranger's eyes staring back. Monday, February 2nd, I moved forward, the snow crunching under Olga's boots as she delivered a note from our father, his handwriting shaky. "Come home. We need to talk." The word stung, a summons I wouldn't heed. The flats warmed to shield against their pleas. I researched rentals, finding a small room near the city center, its price modest but enough to start anew. The process was slow, my fingers stiff on a laptop, the screen's glow a lifeline as I secured it, planning to leave by week's end. Natalia avoided me, her silence a confession, and I overheard her crying, tears I once would have comforted, now fuel for my resolve. The heater clicked a steady beat, and I decided my next move, empty the apartment, leave them with nothing but their guilt. Wednesday, February 4th, I woke to a clearer sky, the snow glistening outside, the flat silence a relief. I packed a bag, clothes, laptop, the letter as evidence, each item a step away from them. I transferred the last of our joint possessions to storage, the action a final cut, the bank's confirmation a quiet triumph. I thought of our early days, her laughter, our dreams, now ashes, overlaid with the motel's shadow, Victor's grin. The crutches supported me as I moved, the pain a reminder of my fight, and I wrote a note for Natalia. "You chose this. I'm gone," placing it on the table. The apartment, once our home, was now a shell, and I wheeled out, the cold air biting my face. The move to my new rented room on February 4th, the 2024 witness to my escape, marked a jagged break from the past, the city's damp air seeping through cracked window as I wheeled myself inside, the faint scent of mildew and old paint greeting me. Sergey had left the apartment, our shared life. Behind, the note, "You chose this. I'm gone," a final cut, the cold by the February wind against my face as I locked the door for the last time. The room, a modest space near the city center, was sparse, a narrow bed with sagging mattress, a rickety table, a single bulb casting harsh light on the peeling walls. My bag, with clothes, laptop, and Victor's letter, sat beside me, a lifeline to the plan I was still weaving. The silence of this new fortress a stark contrast to the tension I'd fled. That first night, the chill seeped into my bones despite the weak heater's hum, the city's distant traffic a muted pulse beyond the thin walls. I unpacked slowly, the rustle of fabric and the clink of my crutches against the floor a rhythm to my thoughts. The betrayal, Natalia's lies, Victor's treachery, loomed large, the motel matchbook photo on my phone a constant reminder. I thought of her pale face when the emails hit his panic call and felt a grim satisfaction, but also a hollow ache. 5 years of trust, her laughter, our dreams, now ashes. I set up my laptop, the screen's glow a beacon, and checked the joint account. Empty now, my transfer complete, her financial security stripped, a first taste of her punishment. The bed creaked as I lay down, the darkness pressing in, and I planned my next move, the heater's faint buzz a companion to my resolve. Friday, February 6th, I ventured out, the damp street slick under my wheels, the air thick with the scent of wet asphalt and distant chimneys. I found a small cafe, its warmth a relief, the aroma of fresh coffee and baked bread a brief comfort. I met Olga there, her quiet presence a steadying force, and she handed me a note. Victor's car spotted again, Natalia seen leaving work early. The details fueled my fire, and I thanked her, my voice low, the clatter of cups around us a distant hum. Back at the room, I reviewed the evidence, photos, messages, Olga's reports, building a dossier, the paper rustling in the dim light. I decided to target Victor's job next, a mechanic shop he prided himself on, planning an anonymous tip to his employer about his distractions. Saturday, February 7th. I worked on the tip. The laptop's hum a steady beat. The room's chill offset by a borrowed blanket. I crafted a message, vague but pointed, hinting at personal issues affecting his work, attaching a blurred photo of his car near the motel. The process was slow, my hands stiff from the cold, the screen's reflection showing a man hardened by pain. I thought of our childhood, Victor and me building forts, his laughter, now tainted by his betrayal. The ache was there, but so was my purpose, to dismantle his pride as he had mine. I scheduled the send for Monday, the action a quiet thrill, the window framing a snow-dusted city that felt less hostile. Monday, February 9th, the tip went out, and by evening, Olga reported Victor's boss calling him in. Early signs of trouble. I sat by the window, the frost etching patterns, the city's lights blurring through my tears, a mix of victory and loss. Natalia's silence since the move was a void I filled with planning, perhaps a public exposure at a family gathering, using the dossier. The crutches supported me as I stood, the pain a reminder of my fight, and I felt a shift. My new room, though sparse, was mine, a base to rebuild. The betrayal had broken me, but this was my reclaiming, step by step, the damp air outside a promise of renewal. Tuesday, February 10th. I woke to a gray sky, the room's silence a relief, the heater's hum a steady anchor. I cooked a simple meal, the sizzle of eggs a small victory, and sat with my laptop, coding a personal project to channel my energy. The city sounds, distant horns, a neighbor's radio, filled the space, and I reflected on Natalia's care, Victor's bond, now lost. The plan was working. Financial ruin, job threats. But the emotional toll lingered, my reflection in the window a man both broken and rising. I resolved to push forward, the dossier growing, ready to face him again, the snow outside a witness to my evolving strength. The week following my resolve on February 10th, 2024, carried a shifting weight, the winter thaw softening the snow outside my rented room, the damp air seeping through the cracked window, carrying the scent of melting ice and distant exhaust. Sergei sat at the rickety table, the wood cold under my hands, the room's weak heater struggling against the chill, its hum a faint pulse to my thoughts. The betrayal, Natalia's affair with Victor, the letter, the motel, still burned, but my plan was gaining traction. The funds transferred, her suspension, Victor's job under threat. Yet, as I refined my next move, a public exposure at our cousin's upcoming wedding, I felt a new tension, a call from my father that morning shattering my focus, his voice heavy. Sergei, come home. This is tearing us apart. Monday, February 10th. I begun drafting exposure. The laptop's glow a lifeline in the dim room, the clatter of keys a rhythm to my anger. I planned to attend the wedding on February 17th, armed with the dossier, photos, messages, Olga's notes, and reveal their deceit to the family, a blow to their pride-eyed savor. The process was meticulous, each word a weapon, the scent of old paper from the matchbook lingering as I worked. But that afternoon, my father's call lingered, his plea echoing. Your mother's crying, Victor's a wreck, and I felt a stab of guilt, the room's silence amplifying my conflict. 5 years with Natalia, my brother's bond, now rubble, and my revenge was dragging my family into fallout. Wednesday, February 12th, I ventured out, the streets slick with melting snow, the air cool with the promise of spring, the cafe's warmth a brief escape. I met Olga, her quiet report confirming Victor's suspension, my tip had hit, and Natalia's isolation growing. The news fueled me, but my father's words haunted me, and I confided in Olga, her gnawed steady. You're protecting yourself, but think of the cost. Back at the room, the heater's hum a constant. I stared at the wedding invite, the paper crinkling in my hands, and wrestled with my plan. The betrayal justified this, but the pain in my father's voice, did it mirror my own hurt? Forcing a pause, the table's edge cold under my fingers. Friday, February 14th, I tested my mobility, the crutches clacking against the floor, the pain a sharp reminder of my limits as I paced. I decided to attend the wedding but refine the exposure, target Natalia and Victor directly, spare the family broad shame. The laptop hummed as I edited the dossier. Focusing on a speech, the screen's reflection showing a man hardened yet uncertain. I thought of our childhood, Victor and me racing bikes, his laughter, now tainted, and felt a tear slip, the room's chill biting my cheeks. The guilt was a new wound, but my resolve held. Punishment was mine to deliver, the wedding my stage. Monday, February 16th, I woke to a gray sky, the room silent a relief, the heaters hum a steady beat. I packed the dossier, the crutches of support, and practiced a speech, my voice firm despite the ache. My father called again, "Please, Sergey," and I hung up, the phone clattering, my heart heavy. The betrayal had broken me, but this revenge was my reclaiming, the damp air outside a witness to my struggle. I resolved to face them, the wedding looming, ready to balance justice with my family's peace. The morning of Sunday, by step, February 17th, outside 2024, my thawing resolve, dawned with fragile clarity. The winter sun piercing to the gray clouds outside my rented room, the damp air carrying the scent of melting snow and city exhaust. I, Sergey, sat at the rickety table, the wood cold under my hands, the heater's faint hum a steady pulse as I prepared for the wedding. My cousin's celebration, now my battlefield. The dossier, photos, messages, Olga's notes, lay beside me, a weapon honed over weeks, the crutches leaning against the wall, a testament to my struggle, the betrayal. Natalia's affair with Victor, the letter, the motel, had driven me here, my plan to expose him at the event a culmination of my pain and resolve. My father's plea still echoed, but today justice would outweigh guilt. I dressed carefully, the suit hanging loose on my frame, the fabric rough against my healing legs, the effort to stand with crutches a sharp reminder of my fall. The taxi ride to the venue, a modest hall decked with white flowers and soft lights, was silent, the driver's chatter a distant hum, the city's winter streets blurring past. Inside, the warmth hit me, the scent of food and perfume mingling with the tension in my chest, the chatter of relatives a backdrop to my focus. I spotted Natalia first, her dark hair pinned up, her smile forced as she mingled, Victor beside her, his grin tight. The family's glances, curious, wary, told me the emails had left their mark, and I wheeled toward the center, the carpet soft under my wheels. The moment came during the toasts, the room's attention on me as I stood, crutches steadying me, the microphone heavy in my hand. I began with a smile. A family celebration deserves truth, and their faces froze. I read from the dossier, my voice calm but firm, detailing the motel meetups, the letters words, the photos proof, sparing the broader family broad shame, as I promised myself. Natalia's gasp, Victor's pale shock, the room's stunned silence. Each reaction of victory, the hall's warmth clashing with the ice in my veins. I finished. This is their choice, not mine. And sat, the crutches clattering, my breath ragged, the crowd's whispers a storm around me. Afterward, Natalia approached, her eyes wet. "Sergey, please." But I turned away, the crutches supporting my escape, her voice fading. Victor followed, his voice low. "I'm sorry, brother." But I cut him off, the pain of his betrayal too deep, the hall's lights blurring through my tears. Outside, the winter air bit my face, the snow melting underfoot, and I felt a mix of relief and exhaustion. 5 years with her, the brotherly bond now severed. The exposure had worked, their shame public, their lives disrupted, but the cost. My family's hurt lingered, a weight I carried. Back at the room, the heaters hum a solace. I sat with my laptop, the screen's glow a lifeline, coding to steady my mind. The wedding had been my reckoning, their punishment delivered, but the emotional toll was raw. Guilt for my parents, loss for the life I'd known. I thought of our early days, her laughter, our plans, now a memory tainted, and resolved to heal, the crutches a symbol of my rise. The damp air outside whispered change, and I knew the next step. Rebuilding lay ahead, the betrayal a scar I'd turn into strength. Step by step, the winter night a witness to my fragile peace. The weeks following the wedding on February 17th, 2024, unfolded with quiet shift. The early spring thaw softening the city's edges by Saturday, March 1st, the air carrying the faint scent of budding earth and melting snow. I, Sergey, sat in my rented room, the rickety table warm under my hands from a heater's glow, the cracked window framing a world waking from winter's grip. The wedding had been my reckoning. Natalia's tears, Victor's plea, the family's stunned silence. My revenge complete, their shame laid bare. My legs, still mending, supported me with crutches, a symbol of my fight, and the dossier, photos, messages, Olga's notes, now rested in a drawer, a relic of the pain that had driven me. Yet as the season changed, so did I, a fragile peace taking root. The days after the wedding were heavy, the room's silence a refuge, the heater's hum a steady companion, as I avoided calls from my parents, their disappointment a shadow I couldn't face. Natalia left messages. "I'm sorry, let's talk." But I deleted them. The phones was a reminder of her lies, the motel's echo still haunting. Victor's silence was louder, his job lost, his pride shattered, and I felt a mix of victory and loss. 5 years with her, the brotherly bond, now gone. I spent February 18th unpacking. The rustle of clothes a rhythm to my thoughts. The laptop's glow a lifeline as I coded, channeling my energy into a personal project. The betrayal had broken me, but this room, sparse as it was mine to rebuild. Friday, February 21st, I ventured out, the streets damp with thaw, the air cool with the promise of spring, the cafes warm to comfort. I met Olga, her quiet report confirming Natalia's move back with her parents, Victor's isolation growing. The news steadied me, but I confided my guilt, my family's pain, and she nodded, "You did what you had to." Back at the room, the heaters hum a solace. I wrote to my father a brief note. "I'm healing. Give me time." The pen scratched a release. The action lifted a weight. The window's view of budding trees a hint of hope, and I resolved to mend those ties step by step. Monday, February 24th. I began physical therapy. The clinic sterile sent a contrast to my pain. The therapist's encouragement a push. The effort was grueling, my legs trembling, but each step with crutches was a victory. The cold floor a reminder of my journey. I thought of Natalia's care, Victor's laughter, tainted memories, and felt the scars soften. The room awaited, its warmth a haven, and I coded late. The screens light a guide, planning to launch my project, a new purpose. By March 1st, I woke to a clearer sky. The room's silence a relief, the heater's hum a steady beat. I cooked, the sizzle of eggs a small triumph, and stood, unassisted for a moment, tears in my eyes. The betrayal had forged me, and now, with the dossier buried, I looked out, the city alive, my legs stronger, my heart healing. I'd punish them, reclaim my dignity, and this new dawn was mine. The spring air promised a renewal, step by step, a life rebuilt.